Hey everybody, welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast with weekly high-budget cinematic shorts. I'm Matt, aka Matt Fondude, and who are you?
I'm James, aka Afro40.
And James, let's get right into it. My little comment there was a pointed critique on one Concord, a game in which
Oh
has
boy.
appeared to have shut down in between the time of uploading our last podcast 1 week ago.
Yep, uploading the last podcast where we were talking about how it finally released.
Yeah, he talked about, hey, people aren't liking this game. It just came out to, hey, they just pulled the plug on the game.
God, we could have pulled up LeBron and been like, Matt, I think something bad is brewing with the Concord situation. I think the game could be shutting down soon. Beware, buyers.
Oh my god. So, okay, here's the deal. So Concord, the Sony game, if you're listening to this anytime outside of the week where Concord is relevant, there was a game funded by Sony, made by some developer, and they worked on it for 8 years apparently, and probably put $200 million into it, and millions of dollars. And literally, I think I don't. The numbers of units sold were in the thousands. It was shockingly bad. There was hundreds of people playing the game, which is not what you want for like a quadruple A shooter game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a bit of the controversy around it beyond the obvious, oh my god, they really just shut this game down after less than a week, is from what I understand, other projects were canceled or put on hold for this game.
They went
So
all in. They really went all in
yeah.
on this game. This
So
was
people
supposed to
that
be
are
the game.
big game heads, people that are trying to beat the PS4 having no games allegations and such, are sitting here like, well, what the hell? We could have had 10 games for this.
So this was also part of Sony's master plan, introducing their more games as a service games, and this is kind
Hmm.
of one of the. So Helldivers 2 was kind of in that area, and that did really well because it was actually interesting and people. It was kind of a unique. It took a bunch of other media and kind of mashed it into a game, but it was interesting and people enjoyed it. This game
Hmm.
is a game that seemingly no one wanted, and it just seemed not that interesting, or it just looked very generic.
Hmm.
But credit to Sony, they're issuing full refunds to all 12 people who bought the game, so that's good.
God, you had to throw in one more punch.
Well, okay, here's the deal. Apparently, the people who actually, I haven't played the game, you haven't played the game, but people who have actually played the game said the gameplay was okay. It was serviceable. It was pretty fun, and I can't imagine they're gonna throw the entire game out because they spent so long on it with so many resources. I'm wondering if they're just taking the game offline for a while and they're just gonna turn it into a free to play game, because at this point they might as well try to get any money out of it. It exists. They have the game. Just scale
Hmm.
it back. Maybe they won't do extremely high budget weekly cinematics anymore, but you know they need to try to make something back, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Not really sure what the plan is. So what I assume they're trying to do is that they're saying okay, we're probably going to heavily rework this game to something people are actually going to play, to the point where there is no point in us keeping this game up.
Yeah,
I
they.
imagine there will be a relaunch down the line.
I think pulling it out as soon as possible, mainly because people are paying money for it. I
Hmm.
don't remember how much this game cost at launch. Was it a $60 game or was it like $40?
I believe it was 60. I don't
Yeah,
remember honestly. Don't quote
th-
me on that.
if I think they want to pivot, if they're going to relaunch, they're going to want to pivot to free to play, and I don't think consumers would stomach the immediate 1 month pivot to free to play after paying $60 for the game. At least with the refunds, they can justify it. That would have been a PR disaster.
Hmm.
Because at least when Overwatch goes free to play, they wait a couple years.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I think this is our last time to talk about Concord for a while. So if you have any other last thoughts on it, I guess get them in now, because this will just be a forgotten relic to time.
yeah. I mean, guess there's not much else. This is a really crazy situation, honestly.
I know, I cannot believe, and some people are critiquing, and I don't think this is really how the gaming industry works, but some people are saying like 8 years in development, $200 million that could have gone toward that they pumped all of that resources into some project that if you looked at it from day one, you could be like, yeah, that's gonna fail. It's just like you can look at it and be like, yeah, that's not gonna do well. And it's just like,
Yeah.
why, you know?
I think I also heard, aren't there also layoffs going on
Yeah, probably.
because of the game? I
I
would
would
need to check.
imagine.
Let me check. Let me look up Concord layoffs.
I mean, it's also easy to sit here and be like, "Oh, haha, how did they not know?" or like, "Haha, bad game." But also, people work on these games. I'm sure people who actually worked on it wanted it to be successful in a way. It's usually higher ups making bad decisions, that
Okay,
lead
no,
to
so it wasn't Concord that
disasters.
had layoffs. It was actually Rocksteady.
Oh,
This
for the
for
Suicide Squad
Suicide
game.
Squad. Yeah.
Yep.
There was actually a really interesting conversation where, like, obviously, it's no secret that lots of people have been kind of preying on some games' downfalls.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think that some of the reality of that is that, you know, the higher ups that are actually making the decisions on these games aren't the ones actually suffering here. It's
Mhm.
mostly the devs who,
Yeah.
I won't say that they have no choice, because obviously that's probably not the case, but they definitely have less choice in, like, in some of these decisions than people would think, and
Mhm.
they do genuinely want to make good games.
Yeah,
It's
I don't think
very
anyone wants to
unfortunate
make
that they're,
something bad,
yeah, but
but
yeah, it's very unfortunate that they have to kind of take the brunt of it oftentimes.
yeah, and I feel like the more money that is pumped into a project, and depending on the studio and the publisher, it's it's never really in the devs. It's not often the devs' fault or people who are actively like the artists and people who are like working on the game. It's mainly okay. We're pumping money into and we're making bad choices and we're trying to follow the algorithm. We're chasing something on the algorithm. Although it does seem like we're making games that people hate. Like we're
Hmm.
trying to find. I'm wondering if they're just trying to find new audiences and double dip, like have their cake and eat it too, where they're trying to appeal to people who play these games, but also find a new audience, and then
Yeah.
they end up appealing to no one.
Hmm.
But I can't imagine they're just gonna scrap the whole. I mean, it's probably smart to stop work on the game because it's like a money pit,
Yeah.
but I feel like they'll try to at least do something. Although,
Yeah.
look at
At the
Anthem.
very least, the assets are going to be used somewhere.
Yeah, there's stuff, and I wonder how many cinematic. So one of the things in the marketing of Concord was that every week they were going to do some sort of high budget cinematic
Yeah.
short because people love those about Overwatch, and Overwatch notoriously is very sparse with those. So I think
Hmm.
that's how they were going to try to muscle in. Too bad the characters are very generic and unlikable in Concord, and people don't care about them. But maybe they
Yeah.
would have made us care with the cinematic shorts,
Maybe.
about Green Alien.
My
But
favorite green alien.
yeah, I don't know. Speaking of green aliens and failure, maybe we could talk about another piece of video game media that's popping
Oh
off.
god.
The Minecraft movie trailer has been released. James, have you seen this trailer?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Let's preface this by saying this movie is almost certainly not for us, but I must also say I don't know who this movie is for.
Well, to be fair, I think young people do play Minecraft still.
Mhm.
I don't know, like, I
Well,
feel like I feel like every friend group just kind of has a Minecraft server.
yeah, but here's the deal. So the Minecraft movie, I didn't even know this was a thing that was being worked on, but the trailer dropped. It is live action. So there's live action characters placed into Minecraft world, which looks like Nintendo Hire This Man HD texture pack Minecraft. It looks kind of. It doesn't look like the game because they're embarrassed by the pixel art of the original game. So it looks like this weird Blender Minecraft. You know.
Yeah, I was thinking that with the whole trailer too. Like, I understand what they're going for because they want to be believable that these people were teleported into this world, make your isekai believable. But also, I feel like I would have just preferred if it was the actual Minecraft art style and not them trying to make it like half realistic.
It is bizarre because they are, yeah, they're isekai into Minecraft, and Jason Momoa with his, I honestly like how terrible his haircut and costume is. I think I really enjoy how the main cast of characters looks so horrible, but in like a good, like they look terrible, but I think that's fun. I think that's kind of
They look
fun.
like the kind of people that'd be addicted to Minecraft.
I know it kind of works, so
Okay,
I kind of dig that. They look pretty awful, but
yeah.
I kind of think that's okay. I think that's a strength.
But also I will say I'm not like a Jason Momoa fan, but I do think you could put that guy anywhere and it would just work.
It does kind of work. It's a weird energy,
Yeah,
and I will say though, why does it look so bad? The green screen, there's no shading. They look
yeah.
horrible. It looks like some people in the comments were saying it looks like an SNL parody of Minecraft, and it really does look like what one of their weird CG digital shorts.
hmm
But I don't know. Then they also have they have the llamas, which was the Thor Love and Thunder goats yelling, because apparently
Oh
we are
god.
at that point in the timeline where people are doing yelling goat memes, which was relevant like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe even longer.
Weird times. Very weird times.
Yeah, what is your take on the trailer so far? Like what stuck out
Yeah,
to you?
it doesn't really look great. Jack Black seemed very odd in it. Like he's just kind of there as Steve. I don't know. It felt really weird.
It is weird. I mean, it really feels like, all right, we just have to inject Jack Black to get goodwill, and I mean, this really has been the year of Jack Black in everything, and it almost seems like he can do no wrong. But I'm worried that he might overstay his welcome a little bit,
I don't
especially
know
in
if
this movie.
I don't know if I would say do no wrong. The I didn't see it personally, but I heard that the Borderlands movie was not great.
Okay, he was in Borderlands as well. He was Claptrap, which is a already a doomed to fail role. But I
Yeah.
think people said he was okay as Claptrap. I think it's because people have a lot of goodwill toward Jack Black. But I think the more terrible roles he takes on, people are going to start souring a little bit.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm surprised they didn't get Chris Pratt to play Steve, but to be
Oh
fair,
god.
it's live action. If it was animated Steve, they probably would have got him, the master voice actor, man of 1,000 voices,
Yes.
Chris Pratt, to voice him.
God, I just thought of his Mario voice.
Let's go. It's me, Chris Pratt Mario.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
Though I mean that movie was fine. That
Yeah.
movie was very serviceable. The music in the Mario movie was that whatever year that came out. Um the that movie was pretty good. I think the weird aha take on me and like contemporary, or not even contemporary, but just like pop songs was very strange among the orchestral score. Just
hmm
weird. Anyway, but I figured they would do a, okay, it's weird, right? Because it seems like they would do a Minecraft movie in the style of a Mario movie, fully animated, right?
Yeah.
But I guess they went with a different direction because I mean they did have Minecraft story mode, which I don't think did well. So maybe they're trying
hmm
to avoid that. But I don't think this was the move.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know.
not sure.
So who do you think it is for? Like we talked about that a little bit, but I don't think it's for people who grew up playing the game. I think it's for literal like babies. But I think they're playing Roblox. Like I don't think they're playing Minecraft.
I don't know. They could be playing both.
I think a
But
little bit.
I also think the appeal of a Roblox movie would be kind of different, especially with how varied uh different like games and stuff in Roblox are.
Well, they
Like,
could do it like a
I
Lego
don't know if
movie
it lends
style.
itself to its movie the same way, or
Well, I
to a
think
movie the same way.
they've been teasing that they might actually do that, and that would
Yeah,
probably make a bajillion dollars. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I
everyone
don't know.
thought the Lego movie was going to be horrible before that came out,
Hmm.
but that was kind of an outlier.
Yeah, and didn't they also announce the Minecraft movie like a really long time ago? I feel like I remember that.
I think I've heard rumblings about it, but I had completely forgotten about it because
Okay, so yeah, they announced that they were planning it back in like 2014.
oh my god, that would have probably been a little bit more relevant back then.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know. It I'm with the Borderlands movie. It was one of those maybe I'll see it because it's gonna be bad funny, but I didn't see it. But with this one, it looks so unappealing. It really does feel like this is for like a fetus to see. I don't know.
I
It's
don't know.
it's like really low bar.
Have you looked at the name of Jason Momoa's character, by the way?
No, what is his name?
His name is Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison.
That's a great name. Maybe this is actually peak cinema.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be some kid's favorite movie in 20 years and they'll be talking about it on a podcast like this, you know,
Oh my
being like that
god.
was actually the goated movie.
It's definitely gonna get a random cult following at some point.
It's okay, I want to hear reviews cuz like there is an element of I feel like it wouldn't be funny to see. I feel like it might just be boring. But if it's
Hmm.
like bad, it could be a fun movie. It just looks bad. It looks boring bad to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, nothing. It doesn't. It literally is marketed toward small children, baby. And it doesn't have to be for us. Not everything has to be for us. But
Oh, oh god.
God help the parents who have to go sit through that film.
I just remembered the a meme that I saw on Twitter where it was like talking about how they gonna introduce Herobrine. and, and somebody said, why are you evil now, Hero Brian? And it was just him looking at the camera like, hey, that's a good name.
Villainous Brian.
Say that again. It's just the Fantastic Four thing. Say that again.
Oh my God. What are you? Some kind of Herobrine?
Oh
Oh
man,
my.
I'm glad we're past the era of like saying the movie's name in the movie.
I'm upset we are. I think we should go back to it.
Oh god.
I think we need a turbo go into that. Go
Or
super
no,
camp,
like
you know.
actually, now that I think about it, like it's fine to do it, but they would force it too much. Like I don't know, like for example, Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they said at some point like we're the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it wasn't like what should we call ourselves? We're some sort of Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that.
Well, I think the sequel drop, I don't there's probably examples of this, and you should email us examples at hyeppodcast@gmail.com. But has there been a movie, and I think there has, that has done a insert movie title 2 or like back we have to go back to the future 2 Marty, like you know what I mean? I think there's
Yeah.
been
Oh
because
god. Yeah, those are
there's
really
that
bad.
sequel thing where some movies are called TOO2, you know, like also like the sequel it's like Home Alone 2. I don't but that one isn't.
Uh, yeah, I can't really think of many examples, but I think I've seen it a couple times.
Why do I
Um,
feel like that was more prevalent at one point in time, but
I
now
mean,
I can't think of any examples?
I think it's because like movies aren't numbered anymore. Like some older franchises like are, but most new ones they just have to come up with a new name. Like
Well,
I don't know, it's weird.
I think it's because they're all reboots, so they have to have a
Uh,
subtitle. And also,
some of them because like I guess the example I think of is the Captain America movies where they're all like a new title, even though everybody just knows like for example, everybody knows the next movie is Captain America 4. Like
mhm.
nobody's calling it Captain America Brave New World or whatever the final name is. Because they've
Well,
changed it a couple times. Or was
it
it New World
definitely,
Order? Or I don't know. Whatever it
yeah,
is.
it's definitely a marketing thing because you don't want to call the more sequels you have, the more embarrassed they are to put the number, and you
Which I think is
want
kind
your
of silly, to be fair.
well. here's the deal. You want your franchise to be accessible to anyone and trick them, even if it's clearly you need to watch all of them. It's part 3 of a trilogy. You want to call it something where someone Joe movie, right, who watches a movie, he goes to the movie theater and buys his ticket with cash at the place. He doesn't even know what's
Buys his
showing.
ticket with cash.
Yeah, he looks at the little
Fuck
screen
me.
and he's like, "Oh, what do I want? I want to see I'm not going to go see Guardians 2 because I didn't see the first one." So, then you just lost your money on Joey Popcorn, right? You lost your money on him. So you got to call it something that it sounds like the first one. So he can watch the fifth movie. There are people, I'm going to go on a little rant here. There are people who watch television, like prestige television. And I know several people who watch like a Game of Thrones and they're just like, yeah, I just watch some episodes now and then when it's on TV. Just like watching extremely serialized content out of order with just no care. I just don't understand how you can be that way.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, I'm not gonna lie, the more you got in that scenario of somebody walking into a movie theater and watching like a sequel, the more I realized, wow, nobody does that anymore. This is even more pointless than I thought.
Some people do that. Like I know
Some people
people.
do, but like still, I feel like that is such a small, such a small group of people, and especially when we're talking about like MCU movies and stuff. There's definitely not those people. You're definitely not like kids.
I,
Definitely aren't doing that.
I know a couple people that were like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to see Endgame," or like, "I just saw Infinity War with nothing else," like, or just skipping Infinity War, and just seeing Endgame, and they're like, "Yeah, it was cool. I liked that." It's like, what?
Well,
Like, what did you get out
yeah,
of that?
but well, so first of all, I think those movies had a reason to have those titles, and also I think like it was such a big cultural thing that everybody kind of knows what's going on already.
I don't think so. I think people
And
sometimes
if
are
they
just.
don't, I don't think a number would deter them.
I
Like
think
they're
some
watching because
people.
people are talking about it.
I mean, that's true. But I do think some people genuinely are out here and they just don't care about stories and can somehow be happy just jumping in 3/4 of the way into like a storyline and are just like, yeah, it was fun. I liked that. It's like I just don't understand. There's an element, and it's the same thing where like there's people who read the endings of books before they read the book. And
Yeah.
there's just something wrong with those people, and I think they just can't handle surprise. Some people are like afraid of suspense, and they just have to like spoil it from themselves. And I think those people are probably the worst people on the planet. And if you do that,
Uh,
please send us mail at hyeppodcast at
yeah.
gmail.com.
I
I'll
think what
read
you're
the end of your email
describing.
first.
I think what you're describing is a lack of media literacy.
It's not just media literacy. It's like there are some people who just don't care about anything, like any kind of media. And I don't. I feel like it's people who like can just play I don't know, Flappy Bird for 12 hours straight and be like, "Yes,
I mean,
I'm
so
entertained."
kind of. I would also say that those people probably independent of that lack media literacy because they don't read anything or like consume anything.
Mhm. Well, I don't think it's a media
Like they
literacy thing of.
they watch a movie like it's like a clip show or something.
Yeah, or like they're watching. I mean, to be fair, I also have witnessed people who are on their phone for the majority of a movie and then look up as if it's almost like a YouTube short because they're watching
Yeah,
30-second increments and then looking at their phone. There are people who watch The Office, right? Some people don't watch TV. They just watch The Office as their one show, and they're still discovering new things because they're on their phones so long that they're looking up, and every time they look up, they're seeing new content because on the 10th rewatch, they're maybe watching the full episode finally, you know? And I guess
yeah,
if that's what you like, that's what you like, but I don't like you.
yep,
So,
same. If you do that, I think you're very stupid.
I don't know. It's a weird thing, and everyone's guilty. And I've looked at my phone while watching stuff, but it is a weird thing to, especially okay. There's certain shows you can watch like out of order. I would never really do that because I'm so stickler for order. But you can watch like Always Sunny out of order. Like you can watch like a sitcom, but you can't sit there like what are you enjoying if you're watching? Imagine you watch Game of Thrones episode like 5 of season 1 and then season 8 episode 2. Like what are you
Hmm.
enjoying in that? There's you don't know what's going on.
I mean, I don't know. They're just watching the action scenes.
I guess. And maybe those were the people who directed it, D&D or whatever. They wanted that ice skeleton polar bear in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Lots of really
I don't
weird people out there, man.
I don't know. It's a weird way to consume things. There's some people who just don't care. And people who don't care about spoilers for stuff. It's like, "Oh yeah, I don't care. Like tell me all the spoilers." Like I it's just but do you not I think the disconnect is there are some people who just don't care about a story, like any story at all. And that seems like kind
Hmm.
of a sad way to live in a way, If you never
Yeah,
care about anything. Like what do you do? Like what you just go through life just not caring about surprises or interesting things.
I don't know. Some people just exist.
I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird way to be.
Yep.
I don't know. Speaking of weird ways to be, we should talk about our weeks because there's actually not that much news going on.
Yeah.
So we can get into our weeks. James, what have you been up to in your weird ways?
I mean, or I guess I'll go one at a time. So, first of all, Deadlock. We talked
Hmm.
about it a bit last week. I played a bit more. I've really gotten comfortable with my favorite characters. I mean, it's mainly three of them. There's Mo and Krill, who's like it's like a mole, like a giant mole person that doesn't
Hmm.
talk, and a French guy with a French gangster with a like a full auto shotgun on his back. Um, and the idea is like the idea is he's like a tank. He has an AOE like life steal thing. He can like burrow into the ground and then pop up and knock people up. He can disarm people and then he can grab them and just like stun them while channeling like the standard suppress pudge ult thingy. And then I'm playing Viscous as well, who's like a
Viscous?
yeah,
Like the fluid?
Viscous. Yeah,
Is
Viscous.
he like slime of some kind?
Yeah, it's like a giant slime person.
Wait, is this a new
Uh
character?
yeah, it's a relatively new. I think it's
Viscous.
I think it's the newest. I can't tell. But anyway,
Oh god, it's a goo.
yeah. Apparently the model for Viscous is like a Neon Prime model, so they're looking to replace it soon.
Oh, it's
Uh
Goo Mysterio for people listening.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Viscous's thing, his first ability is he throws a ball of like splattering goo. It does damage and slows and leaves like a puddle that slows. And then he can turn people into like he can encase people in like a goo cube.
Oh no, not
Like
the jar. He can put them in the jar.
yeah, it's like Jello kind of, and like they're immune to damage to all damage, and they get healed. But you can like punch them to move the cube around while they're in the cube.
Hmm.
It's really cool. And then the third ability is they can spawn giant fists that punch out and knock people back,
What
including
is this
allies and
character?
enemies. Uh, and it's like they can do it. They can if they do it on the ground, it'll knock people up. If they do it on the wall, it'll knock people backwards. Like it's just opposite of the direction that it's. They'll knock it. They'll knock people away from the platform that it's on. And these like giant fists also count as like punches. So you build like punch items on the character
Hmm.
basically. And then the ultimate, they turn into a giant goo ball and they stun people that they pass through,
Is
and
it?
they
Do you get to
bounce off
roll
of
around
walls.
like
Yeah,
Katamari?
yeah, and
This
they
character
like bounce
sounds
off of
like
walls.
actually fun enough that I might have to turn the game back on
Yeah, they're
for a
really
minute.
fun. There's lots of fancy stuff you can do with like punching yourself around and like movement and stuff. It's
Oh,
a
so like
very
Wrecking
hard,
Ball.
extremely hard character though. Yeah, a little bit like Wrecking Ball, extremely hard
S-
character, and they've been they're either really OP or they really suck. I think, or I
mhm.
guess now they're kind of okay. So what happened is they like initially when they came out they did way too much damage because the punches scaled with their like magic damage items and they made it only scale with punching items. And then they buffed their gun really hard and like made their quality of life better. And now they've nerfed the gun again and they've nerfed the punches a little bit.
Now, is this one of those characters that is high skill and decent reward, but you might as well just play a lower skill character? Or is it
Uh,
high skill, high reward?
I would say high skill, high reward. The kid has a lot of potential. I think the
Hmm.
main problem is just that like the aiming of the giant fist is kind of wonky. Because
Hmm.
it's like a 3D game. You're doing it against all this terrain, and the cast range is kind of weird and stuff. So it's like it's really easy to mess up. But like it has lots of repositioning, lots of CC. It has a save, has a decent gun too. Like character kind of has everything. It's just like it's just not like consistent. I guess you also can't really chain stun anybody with the giant goo ball ultimate because it has like a cooldown where you can't stun people again, and the cooldown is longer than the stun duration. And it's also pretty easy to dodge if you're like just conscious of it and you just play against a corner or something. And it also can't really go indoors. Like it can go indoors, but you'll get stuck pretty fast.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounds like at least they're doing really interesting kits for these characters. It's
Yeah.
gonna be probably pretty hard for them to keep that up though, because
I
when
don't know.
you're work.
I think Ice Frog is a really creative dude. He's kept lots of newer Dota characters interesting. I would say so.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's harder to make a character in like a 3D space though, like this. But with
uh
if it has to shoot or like
I
punch.
don't know because I think the shooting part is it actually makes it a little bit simpler. I would say.
Hmm.
You know, for some characters, it could just be that they have abilities based around their like amplifying their gun's effectiveness, or like even just and also like with the movement too, there could be abilities based around movement and things like that.
Well, they need to be careful too if they make guns too good, where there is like a sniper type character in the game whose ult is like a sniper shot, and it's one of those things where if someone can aim and get a headshot, and that's the only thing, and a one shot kills someone, right? Say that happens.
Uh, it doesn't really one shot. No.
Well, not in the
It,
game, but I'm saying if there was a character that basically was like a Widowmaker sniper, like a traditional sniper, or just they're aim intensive, where if they hit heads, they the only thing balancing them is the player skill. I don't like it when games do that, because then if you have a character or a person who's really good, then it's just oppressive, and then if your teammate is bad, it's horrible. You know.
yeah, and I don't think they would ever go down that route though, especially with how the objectives work and things like that.
Are there any invisible characters in Deadlock yet? Like
Yeah,
who can go invisible?
there's
That's
one, but it's
so
not too
annoying.
bad. It's like the characters, all they really do is shoot. Their abilities don't really do much, honestly.
I think it's one of the, can we just stop with the invisible characters in these kind of games though? I know people like it, but it's always they're always annoying because either they're really good or they have to be bad enough to like why would you play them? But they're still usually annoying, you know? It's just an
Yeah.
archetype that I find so irritating.
I don't know. I think it depends on the kid around it. So like I've seen it be okay. I think the problem is invis characters that like they get near you without you knowing, and they basically insta kill you with
Counterplay, there's no
no,
counterplay.
so not just counterplay, but like counter strategy as well. Like for example with Haze, the invis character in this game, you can build an item that's relatively cheap called Return Fire, and what it does is it just says every time you get hit by a bullet, you do like a large percentage of that damage back.
Hmm.
And Haze is relatively squishy, so like if he gets near you and she drops her ult that makes her just fire a bunch of bullets everywhere, and you activate Return Fire, then she's just gonna die before she even kills you.
Yeah, and then if the character, I mean, if that invisible character is considered bad enough, like that's like a worse. If that's a bad enough counter, then that character is like trash. But if that's not good enough, then that character's still annoying. You know what I mean?
Kind
It's a
of.
hard thing to
In this
balance.
case, the character still offers a couple other things. Um, 'Cause, you know, I think she has like pretty consistent DPS and such.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's specifically like a counter to her ult, so you just don't get cheesed. But you know, and there's also the case where you know maybe there's another character on the team that can force that out and
Hmm.
give her like an opening. And there's also some cases where I believe she can also cancel it. I'm not 100% sure, but
I also think it can lead to
yeah.
bad team play too, especially if you can get in and out, or it just you're kind of going on your own thing, doing you're not
Uh,
really playing with the team as much.
I mean, kind of, but that's just player skill.
Mhm.
Like like, I mean, you could say the same with Viscous, because you can turn your teammates into the cube, and you can't
Oh
really act
god.
while you're a cube. So it's like you say, oh well, people are just gonna grief, but it's like, yeah, bad players will, but I think good players would definitely get more than enough use out of it for it to be useful.
What's funny is I don't think I don't play enough of these games. I mean, I play a lot, but like people will always say like, "Oh, Life Weaver, for example, in Overwatch 2 would grief. The people are going to grief." I really have never really run into people griefing in these kind of games for the most part, just because I mean, it's probably happens. It's usually your friends like messing with you. It's not like
Yeah, I think
randoms.
people kind of assume the worst sometimes out of people in games, which I think is not necessarily true.
Yeah, I think it's okay sometimes. Like, I mean, obviously, a lot of the times they'll put in like safety measures so people can't
Yeah.
do certain stuff.
And I
But
also think like if people really want to be jerks, they'll find a way to do it no matter what the character designs look like or no matter how the game is. Like that's
exactly.
just you can't really design for that. It's the same
Mhm.
thing people talk about with how bugs work, where it's you could do all these play tests and have all this QA, but when 1 million people are starting up your game at the same time, like inevitably there's going to be stuff that you can't catch.
Yeah, and then you can just patch it as you go, address it as you go. You can't plan
Yeah,
for everything. But yeah, so you've been enjoying Deadlock.
yeah. Oh wait, actually, I forgot the third character. It's called Abrams. He's actually very simple. So he has a
He's the
passive
blue
where
one, I think.
yeah, he's the blue guy with the horn. He has the book. He's like a
Yeah,
like
he's
a
got
New
the
York
book.
cop. Yeah, he's like a New York cop, and his whole gimmick is like one day there was this he just got given a book by a random person. And they just said like don't let them have it, and they left.
Oh.
And then people started like making assassination attempts on him and stuff. Um, yeah, the lore in this game, it's not most of it isn't complete, but it looks really really fun at the very least. Like you can tell
Mhm.
it's they got some TF2 people in there. There's some really funny stuff. While also being like there's actually also some like pretty dark stuff there in there, but yeah, lore's cool. I'm excited for it. But anyway, so yeah, Abrams' thing is he has a passive where he regenerates a percentage of the damage he takes. This is standard tank stuff. He can like charge people into walls and stun them. He has like an AoE leech thing that like lasts over a duration, so it's like anybody who's near him he just leeches health. And then his ultimate is like he flies into the air and slams on people and stuns them. So the general idea is you charge somebody into a wall, you punch them while they're stunned, and then you just lifesteal them while they try to run away. It's a really simple character,
Mhm.
but he's pretty fun, and it's also really funny to kill people with him because it's one of those characters where if you misstep, you just kind of die because he doesn't really have the best. He has very poor range and stuff like that. So it's like he's a standard melee tank where if you get in his range, you're just kind of dead. It's a little bit like Reinhardt, honestly.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think I played him a little bit. I don't know if he was my cup of tea in that game, but
Hmm.
I definitely got destroyed by some people who were playing him, especially when they got
Yeah,
fed a bit. He becomes kind of oppressively snowbally, I guess. But that's every character. Plus, I didn't know how to counter build. I'm sure there's some sort of like way to build and do whatever. Some sort of MOBA thing that you can do.
yeah.
But you know what game? You know what game I've been playing recently? I've been playing an esport actually recently.
Ooh,
I've been
what
playing a
game?
dying esport recently.
Dying.
I've been playing Rocket League, a dead game, but
Is Rocket League
to
dying?
okay,
I thought it
here's
was
the
doing
deal.
okay.
Rocket League, the gameplay's been the same gameplay forever. So they
Hmm.
haven't really changed anything. The reason people are saying it's dying is because I think it's stagnating because they haven't really changed anything. And when they
Hmm.
got bought by Epic Games, they just kind of did things like they removed the ability to trade. And now everything is like cash shop. They just kind of did a lot of like anti-consumer things. And they haven't changed like anything at all. Besides, they added you can see your enemies or you can see your teammates boost level now. So that's something they added. But it's like, little changes. They don't want to change things too drastically. But
Hmm.
I've been playing it again, and man, Rocket League is pretty fun. I played the game with the chat turned off and all the stuff turned off because I would say I think Rocket League might have the worst toxic players of any competitive game. I think it literally might. It is
Mm.
insufferable, you know. It
Hmm.
is hard. Well, okay, wait. CS:GO is kind of or Counter Strike 2. Counter Strike's kind of up there as well.
Man, yeah, the Counter Strike community is very comical.
Yeah, very very upset, but I've been playing Rocket League and it still is fun. Like if you have ever enjoyed Rocket League, it's still there. It's still sitting right there. And yeah, it's pretty fun. It seems like all the content creators are quitting like within the last couple months of the game. So that's
Hmm.
probably not a good sign for the community. There's just all the videos I keep getting on YouTube that are just like I'm quitting Rocket League. This game is dead. I'm like, well, that's probably healthy for the community.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That happened. I feel like that happens to almost every game at some point.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't change it enough, it will stagnate. That is kind of the thing. But yeah, that's. I feel like I don't have too much to say about Rocket League. I guess it's replaced Overwatch 2 as
Hmm.
my like rage game. You know,
Yeah.
but I do think it is a game of any of the esports kind of games. It really does feel the most fair. Of everyone is in a car and you're all kind of on the same playing field, you know? And it's just all movement. It's all player skill and just you can it also feels like as an individual you can elevate your team. So I do like that aspect of the game.
Hmm.
It does feel pretty it feels it does feel sometimes like oh my teammate bad, but I think less so than other games cuz if you're good enough you can carry people.
Hmm.
Not that I'm good enough. I'm the bad teammate in that scenario.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right.
So, besides, I see in the doc you have something else you wanted to talk about from your week.
Yep.
So we can do a deep
Yeah, I
dive.
guess this is technically a bit delayed, but there was a new Apex season back in like early August, actually almost exactly a month ago to this date, and I didn't get to play much of it because of my vacation.
Yep.
But I played a little bit this week. I didn't get to play the new map, unfortunately, which I hear has been very good. It's called E District. The idea is it's like an abandoned city, and there's everything has a shit ton of floors and stuff like that. So the idea is that the map isn't just built horizontally, but it's very heavily built vertically,
Oh, that's cool.
and that plays into the way that that fights will play out. Like you can literally, from what I've seen, have fights going on multiple floors at the same time, and it's
Hmm.
actually not that easy to third party, which is really cool.
Would you ever have any advantage of being the low ground in any of those situations? You probably always want to be at the top.
No, there's definitely low ground advantage, especially since Apex has fall stun. So when you fall from a large height, you kind of like get staggered for a sec, and you
Oh,
can't really
okay, but you don't
strafe.
take damage.
Yeah. So if you're like directly under somebody, it actually you actually are oftentimes in a better position because if they have to drop into you, then the high ground kind of doesn't really do much for them, and they just have to deal with fall stun while you don't. Um, but yeah, it's been a pretty cool season. It's been one of the more uh content heavy ones, I guess you could say, where they made a lot more balance changes than normal. Usually like twice a year, roughly they'll do that, where it's once for in the first half of the year there'll be some like systems change, like the changes to the Evo system with shields and armors and stuff that they introduced earlier. Uh, and in this case, I guess the biggest change that they did was they introduced akimbo weapons, and
On
this is
all
a
weapons or like
no. There's only two guns that can do it, but
okay.
this is a really funny topic because I'll explain in a sec. But so it's the Mozambique and the P2020 that you can akimbo, and those weapons were previously considered to be the two worst guns in the game.
I see.
And so what ended up happening is so how the akimbo works is they slightly nerfed the base guns. And in exchange, when you pick up the akimbo, it doubles your mag size. it increases the fire rate by a decent amount, and they become fully automatic, whereas normally they're semi-auto. Or at least
Mhm.
normally the P20 is semi-auto. The Mozambique can be full autoed, but it's a shotgun pistol, so it's relatively slow. And so yeah, the guns are really easy to find because they're effectively the worst guns in the game. So they have very very high spawn rates. So most people are running around with the Kimbo,
Yep.
and they're comically overpowered.
Oh yeah,
Especially the Mozambique.
I was gonna say, how are people gonna aim with two guns? But then I realized it's Apex, and people are playing on controller, and they don't have to aim.
Yeah, I mean it's not it's a little wonky, but it's not too bad. You know, instead of ADSing, you kind of do a little like a small zoom in.
Mhm. Your eyes get closer to the guns, and
Yeah,
they
pretty
they,
much.
they jut out.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean you're basically just always hip firing with them, which isn't too big of a deal. Because the Mozambique is a shotgun, so it's not a big deal. And then the P2020, you can put a laser sight on it, make it more accurate. But yeah, the funny thing is they're comically overpowered, or at least the Mozambique is. So, for reference, there was an Apex LAN this past weekend,
Mhm.
and the Mozambique, the Akimbo Mozambiques had 1,161 kills. The next closest gun was 302.
It could be bias, although of people trying out the new weapon too.
So, kind of, because like at this point, people have gotten used to it. But also, if you look at the other stats, they have only fired roughly 4,000 more Mozambique shots than the next gun.
Oh, interesting.
And so the Mozambique is like 25,000, with the next gun it's like 21,000.
Do you think that could also due to the fact that it's more available and people are killing each other earlier on in matches with it?
Um, Sort of, because like usually the thing is, if it was based on like availability, then the Mozambique would have been higher before than it was previously. Um, like before they introduced the dual wield, since it was already a common gun, like people would just naturally have it, and the stats wouldn't show that the gun is so bad necessarily. But yeah, it was very 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 strong, like really high DPS, uh, effectively a big enough mag that you could kill multiple people. It was very funny to watch. You would just see somebody swing in and like kill a whole squad with one dual wield Mozambique mag. Very
That's
comical gun.
crazy.
And it was actually so good, and people wanted it so badly that the flatline, which is like the AK-47 of the game, it's a generally considered as a good AR. It had less kills than the single Mozambique. So like people were more willing to run a single Mozambique than a double for the chance of getting a double than they were to run like an actually good gun.
I see. So
And
they
they
had to
got more kills
find
with it.
two.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, that's kind of a cool way to balance a bad weapon,
Yeah.
but if they maybe tune it down a bit, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. They're definitely gonna have to tune it down a bit. But it was an interesting change. And then
Yeah.
another change that was mildly comical that they made was they made it so that after zone 2, which is roughly like almost 10 minutes into the game, a little less, all the bins on the map, like the loot bins, will reset. So like close again and you can reopen them, and the loot tiers basically go up, so you're more likely to find better loot. And also they randomly place gold bins around the map,
Hmm.
and the gold bins are guaranteed to have like gold tier loot. Uh, the problem is that sometimes people that when you open a gold bin, it would almost always just be like 4 gold items, and so everybody would just be walking around like giga looted after that point in the game. So yeah, there's a little bit too many of those, and then
Yeah,
they
you'd think it would
added.
give you one gold item. I guess it's per one per. In theory, would be one per everyone in the squad, but then one person could just giga buff.
Yeah, no, it just gives you a bunch of gold items basically. And then what is it? They also added a thing called a mythic bin, where the idea is that it's one bin that randomly spawns among the reset bins, and to open it, you need to like hold down and channel for 15 seconds, like
Hmm.
straight. And when you open it, it will guarantee a gold upgrade to your weapons. So like you'll get a fully kitted version of all your weapons, or of one weapon per person.
Hmm.
And it'll give you a care package weapon, which previously care package weapons were very rare. You'd only find 2 per game.
Wow. Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
too rare.
And since these are all like fully random spawns among the bins that are in zone, there'd just be one squad that's just randomly just giga kitted sometimes. It was really funny. So I actually quite like the idea they were going for, because what they also did alongside these changes is they reduced the spawn rate of like high tier loot and attachments. So what happens is that in before these bins reset, the loot between teams is a lot more even. So you don't have people that just have massively better loot than you early game just running at you as often. And then there's kind of a smoother progression where when you get to the mid game, everybody's getting loot upgrades. They just put the dial a little bit too far.
Hmm.
I guess you could also say that the akimbo weapon changes, the dual wield with the Mozambique and P20 was kind of the same in the same vein. Whereas like before, if you found 2 Mozambiques, you were just kind of sad, especially if you're at like a not so great POI and you just didn't want to fight with it. But now it's like, well, 2 Mozambiques that just have the best gun in the game.
Well, I think it's probably how games are going to be balanced in the future, or how you should balance a game, where
Hmm.
it is a fool's errand to try to quote fully balance any game. You can't do it. So maybe just
Yeah,
having broken patches every month, just mixing the gameplay up, having it so that it one thing is crazy, like one thing is the meta this month, then change it up. Maybe that's the
yeah,
solution. You're never gonna have for as long as they keep updating. It's only for a month. Maybe if you don't like this month, just play it next month. Maybe you'll like something in it.
yeah. And I think I agree for the most part. Where it's like I would much rather they do cool changes and give people like new toys to mess with than just have everything be super safe and like make all these light adjustments to the game because you're afraid of breaking something.
Well, that's what you see with Rocket League. There's just no change. It's just all
Hmm.
cosmetic, all loot box, all battle pass. There's just no gameplay change.
Yeah.
And people are getting tired of it because there's just nothing. There's
Hmm.
nothing to work toward. There's nothing to be gained, you know?
Hmm.
But it's weird. It's and speaking of games that are going to change soon, I want to talk a little bit about a project that is going on in Korea right now. It is so James, have you ever played Maple Story?
I did a while ago when I was a kid, but I wasn't like a huge Maple Story guy.
So I was a huge Maple Story guy,
Hmm.
and there in Korea for a while there has been this platform called Maple Worlds, which is an official Maple Story game. And the best way to describe it is Roblox for Maple Story, in which they gave players direct access to all of Maple Story's assets, and you can make your own games out of it. So, what that has led to, I haven't even seen other games, but what that immediately led to was people recreating old school Maple Story from the beta era to like pre Big Bang. And one of the most popular games on that in Korea is Maple Lands, which is a basically old school RuneScape Maple Story equivalent. Something people have been asking for years. And unfortunately, without a VPN, and even with a VPN, it's kind of difficult to play. I have not got to play it yet, but they are planning on bringing Maple Worlds to the US. So I hope to play it eventually and play all these games. I really think it's a really good idea, and
Hmm.
I think more games should probably do this weird Robloxy Little Big Planet, create your own content route. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we got a lot of games. That's how we got Dota too.
Yep.
There's a great importance in in a level and character creator in games.
Yeah. You know what? It's kind of a side tangent. What I actually just thought about. I'm surprised that there's never been a full game made based off of like a Halo custom game or Forge map. At least not that I know of.
Well,
Like,
it seems
Halo
like
will often keep the game
Mhm.
modes, but I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thought that nobody's like really taking that next step like Dota did with or like the Dota auto chess devs did, where they made their whole own
Mhm.
game.
what is like? I mean, again, I'm out of touch with the Halo because I was a PlayStation guy. What is like the key fun game mode that is like kind of unique to Halo? Like, what is a unique game mode?
I mean, there's a few. There's Griff Ball, where the idea is that you carry. So it's like a small arena, and there are
Yep.
two like bases or goals, I guess. And you carry a ball, and everybody has a gravity hammer. And
Hmm.
so the gravity hammer is just like you slam it down, and it knocks people away. And if they're close enough to where you slam it, they get one shotted. And so you've got one guy trying to carry the ball, and everybody else is gravity hammering shit everywhere, and people are just flying around, and dead bodies are ragdolling and stuff. And you just need to carry it to the enemy base, basically.
See, I feel like there probably is a game, maybe like an indie game, but it's probably just not good enough to be known, you know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. So like, I guess I don't have the best examples of ones that could become like full games, maybe, because most of these are kind of like mini games within Halo. But I feel like there's definitely potential for it. I think if somebody
Mhm.
made something that was like engaging enough to be its own game, because I think that
Well,
like there's certainly not a lack of assets, right? Like they
mhm.
give you the access to basically all Halo assets.
It is crazy to me though that with the Maple Story thing, I almost feel like it's maybe some people from the actual Nexon like team or whatever, whoever is working on Maple Story, like worked on this game, but I don't know how. So Maple World again, it's like Maple Worlds is like the Roblox structure, but Maple
Hmm.
Lands is the game, and it has like tons of players, and people are playing and like actually taking it seriously, like it is their their old school Maple Story. It's weird because it basically is a custom game, but people are treating it like it's the real game. It's really weird and bizarre.
Hmm.
Um, like people are putting lots of time and money and effort into something that almost feels like a private server.
Yeah.
It's very strange. But I'm really excited because I really want to spend a lot of time playing that. I hope. I mean they talked about it a little bit, but I really hope one it does come here, and two that it's soon. I think we'll see a lot of people covering the game. We'll get an Asmongold video of him reacting to someone reacting to someone reacting to playing the game, and we'll get a couple people. Maybe we'll see Penguin Zero Charlie be like, "Oh, this game, it's Maple Story," you know. That's how you know you made it when you when you have someone reacting to your reaction of your
Yeah.
reaction. Or like when you
That.
see, or you know your game is doomed when people are like talking about Overwatch 2 drama who just like never have played the game since it launched. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no.
That reminds me of when Moist Critical made that video where it was like the Moist Critical situation is crazy, and people have been memeing about him making a video like that for such a long
Uh,
time with like the fake mustache and glasses, and he actually did it.
that's funny. No, he's great. That guy has had a wild career of just. I remember when he was just a disembodied voice that was just making like dumb videos,
Hmm.
and then we saw his face, and I was like, I didn't. That was one of those face mismatches where I didn't think that was what he would look like,
Yeah.
and then I remember him going away from those gameplay like goofy meme videos to starting to do like the on camera stuff, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then it's like now it's just like his thing, you know.
Hmm.
But a weird life to have. And you know what? We're kind of closing in on the end of the pod here, and now I'm gonna refresh
Yeah.
to see if I got any questions. This is the time you could send us questions at hyeppodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're listening on Spotify, you can answer questions at the end. Or I put a YouTube post up. We're slacking on questions, We gotta get some more questions. I end up having to make up random questions, and like I'll have to say, like, James, what is your favorite thing that is green? What is your favorite green thing?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Yeah,
Oh
what's
my
your
god.
favorite any of all things, what's your favorite green thing?
You know, I'd probably get jumped by Red Sox fans for not saying the Green Monster, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I think some nice green grass is just nice, you know.
Oh yeah, grass goes hard.
I'm a grass enjoyer. You know, you just kind of lay down in it sometimes. It's just
I think
it's just grass.
I think we don't appreciate grass enough.
Yeah,
You know,
not enough grass heads.
not enough grass. Well, to be fair though, it does cause a lot of allergies, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah, that
kind
is
of
true.
yeah, grass can kind of take an L. Grass
Yeah.
is like the
It can be kind of
main.
itchy sometimes too if you like really lay down in it.
Tying it
Sometimes it's a
back
little
to
wet.
our yeah, wet
Weird.
grass kind of smells weird. You can get stains.
Yeah, actually, there aren't many great green things. Now that I really think about it, grass is kind of just kind of wins by default.
What about like a green apple? That's nice.
I don't know. It's just like it's an
Watermelon.
apple.
Watermelon goes hard. At
Yeah, but
least
it's
the
not green on
outside.
the
That's
inside.
pink. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it is
Like
what's on the
it's
inside that
like it's like
counts.
half-assed green stuff, and green apples aren't green on
Yeah.
the inside either. It's not. It's not. They're not real
Guava.
greeners.
Guava's good.
They're not real green
Kiwi.
boys.
Kiwi. A kiwi is green.
I
Yeah,
mean,
a kiwi's green on the inside. If you're gonna go on the inside,
like, yeah, but the outside of the kiwi isn't green.
that's not how it works. No, it's like okay, wait, it is. It's dark green,
The
or
outside of
it's
a kiwi
dark
is
green
not
to brown.
green.
It's avocado as well. And a kiwi is like okay. The outside of a kiwi is brown,
Yeah, also the
but
outside of an avocado isn't green. Actually, I guess there are some that are
no,
green, but
that's like
like
a dark green.
not all of them. I don't know. It's like it
I,
looks more like a purple kind of.
I would say an outside of a kiwi is like a dark. It's a
Oh my
brown, but
god.
it's like a greenish brown. Like there's a green in there.
I don't know
It,
about that. I don't know. When I search kiwi and it keeps giving me pictures of the bird, and I keep
mhm.
thinking it looks like a Pokemon.
How come kiwi, like the fruit, looks like Shrek? Like the green with the ogre. Like the outside looks like his clothing. It's like the brown fuzzy
Okay,
clothing,
kind of
and then
true.
it's like, and it's kind of like Shrek green. It's kind of like a. Do you know like Shrek? Whenever there's a Shrek movie, they come out with like green Twinkies and green ketchup. This kind of looks
Yeah,
like the fruit that came out when Shrek came out. You
yeah.
think this
I
was
see
a
what you mean.
tie-in to Shrek the Third?
Maybe.
I would say. I think that's a good place to end the podcast. That was the only question of the podcast. So
Yep.
get on it. Ask some questions. And I've been
Green
Matt,
is.
aka Matt Fun Dude. You can find me on YouTube. I'm working on a huge video right now. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be up soon-ish. Probably not within. Probably not, but until like next week or something. It's like the craziest video I've worked on. So that's exciting. And who are you?
I'm James, aka Afro40. Green is a bad color.